safe in. So what I'm doing, so I kind of work for Gogla, as Simone said. I'm the Senior Project Manager for Circularity and Consumer Protection. And how we are, how we kind of organized is we are a membership, membership body, so with the industry association, and we represent the off-grid solar sector at Gogla. Just check. Can you see the slides yet?
Still not, but we're working on it from our side.
Okay.
So we'll share it.
All right. Let me know when you can.
Now it should be coming.
It's
No.
there.
There you go.
There we go. All right. So yeah, if you can skip through.
Beep, and we change, huh?
Yeah, keep going, keep going. Skip over the introductions. Oh, the font, the font's gone a little bit strange, but so as I said, we have around 200 members across Africa and Asia, representing all parts of the value chain. So from manufacturers all the way through to the distributors and other partners as well. Within that, we have different topics and themes that we work with on the industry. And one of those themes is circularity. So we have a working group that's looking at end-of-life management and how we actually reduce the impact of the off-grid solar products once they reach their end of life. If you go to the next slide, please. So just very quickly, when we think of off-grid solar products, just for those that are not familiar who are on the line, we're talking about everything from a solar lantern, so a small kind of entry-level pico lantern, all the way up through solar home systems to productive use and income-generating products as well, such as solar water pumps, refrigerators, and such like. Next slide. And also just to set the scene, so this is the growth of SHS solar home system kits in the market over the last kind of 11, 12 years. And so we can see that it's not an insignificant number of sales that we're seeing in the market. So with the impacts of COVID and slight drop in sales in 2020, we're still seeing around 35 million unit sales per year, which is pretty high. And we expect products to have lifespans. So now between 5 and 7 years is the norm for some of the high quality verified products. Next slide. But to contextualize that, so this is a forecast for Kenya. So based on the number of sales made in Kenya, over time, we see as they reach the end of life, it's still only representing around 3 to 4% of total e-waste. But yeah, we know that as the industry grows further and further, that will grow. And it's something that as an industry, we're really keen to control and to minimize that risk and impact there as well. So next slide. So as Gogla, we do a variety of things. So we recommend all of our members assume kind of voluntary extended producer responsibility. So for any product that they put onto the market, they should be making the effort to make sure it's responsibly disposed of and recycled once it reaches end of life, regardless of the local legislation that is in place. We will also work with funders and investors to make sure that having responsible e-waste management plans in place is a requirement for funding and is kind of checked and looked into during due diligence processes as well. And we are trying to build capacity across the industry through a library of tools and resources to really just increase the ability of the industry to deal with the products when they reach end of life. And again, we have a number of events and bringing other different stakeholders together as well. Next slide. And again. Okay, so I think we can skip this one because I think most people here will be familiar with the waste fractions and the different elements of the slide. So, but I just wanted to focus in on the challenges that as an industry we are facing and some of the things that we're trying to overcome. So first of all, lack of consumer awareness. This is a big challenge. So as much as companies want to make sure that their products are responsibly disposed of, it requires a big effort with the consumers about what the options are and how they can do that. We're seeing now that more and more companies are trying to incorporate repair and refurbishment as well as they try to build more circular models, but there's difficulty around accessing quality spare parts and then the technical know-how in the existing kind of repair ecosystem as well. I think there's a couple of markets, Nigeria, Rwanda, Kenya, that have sufficient recycling infrastructure, but outside of those three markets, the areas that we work just don't have the right infrastructure in place. So that's something that I think as an industry we really want to try and support and overcome and develop in different markets. There's also the cost. So we, as an industry, we serve the lowest income sector of the populations most generally. And so cost of the systems is, is something that we have to focus on to make sure that the products are affordable. The cost of recycling, we are reluctant and companies are reluctant to pass that on to the consumers. So it's trying to think about how we can reduce that cost through volumes, through efficiencies, and just make sure that it doesn't make the product prohibitive to the end user. And then the final two there. So we're still innovating, we're still testing business models around end-of-life management and operating in, obviously, environments where the legislations are still developing and need kind of a little bit more focus as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I think companies, though, are keen to drive forward on this, and we have different areas of sort of mitigating the brand and PR risk, meeting regulator and investor needs and interests. It's seen as an opportunity for customer retention and customer relations, and obviously there's elements of environmental and consumer protection that go with that as well, which all add to why the companies are keen to take this forward. So next slide. And again, as I mentioned, trying to look more at circular models in the industry. So we're not just talking about linearity, but actually looking right from product design, how that we can build in opportunities for repair, for refurbishment, and making sure that the products are easy to recycle once they do eventually reach the end of life. Next slide. Yeah, so I think I've touched on all of these already, actually. So in the interest of time, I will skip on because I do want to share the case study of what we're doing on the PRO. Next. Okay, here we go. Next slide. So we are looking at, so as I said, the circularity in e-waste is really on the agenda. And so the companies that we work with, a few of them came together recently, and seeing this as a non-competitive area of business, and it's a challenge that we need to solve together as an industry. It's not one company trying to figure it out on their own. Next slide. So we talk about it often in the industry. What we did was really kind of take the companies through this journey about coming together, understanding, okay, as a collaborative group of companies, what can we do to help mitigate the costs and actually be more effective in what we do with e-waste. And so we have, over the past 2.5 years, been through this process of developing a PRO for the off-grid solar industry initially, and that has grown into joining forces with other electronics industries in Kenya to really now be looking at developing the first e-waste PRO for Kenya itself, EPROC. So we are just, I think if we go to the next slide, I can just walk you through this. Yeah, so first we started from meeting together and really just discussing the challenges and looking at where we can take that collective action. Next. And then from that, we got the 7 of the leading companies in Kenya to sign an MOU that really kind of framed their relationship and how they would work together on this area, and kind of highlighted which areas they wanted to look at. Primarily, it was consumer awareness, costs, and increasing volumes of e-waste that is recycled. So next slide. Yep, so in the middle of last year, we had to respond to the EPR regulations. So the draft regulations were released by Kenya, and so we were involved in the consultation period of that, which was really helpful as well as a group. And then taking that forward to November, so next slide. This is when we joined forces with CAM and KEPSA and the wider electronics industries in the country. Next slide. Yeah, and so since then we've been really working to establish the governance, the fee structures, and the data side, how the PRO will work, and how the different kind of industries will work together under that PRO as well. And then in May this year, we started the registration process. So we have EPROC, the e-waste PRO for Kenya, which is now still going through the registration process. We obviously had elections in Kenya in the middle of the year, which has delayed the process a little bit. But yeah, hopefully we are making good progress. And next year we will see the first operations of the e-waste PRO in Kenya. So really excited about that. I will leave it there just in the interest of time. I don't want to take up too much time, but yeah. Looking forward to discussion afterwards. Thank you.